Welcome back to Crystal Clear! I'm ARTWITHKODA, and an unexpected treat in regards to Steven Universe Future has been the large heapings of fusion. Out of the 6 episodes of Steven Universe Future that has aired at the time of this video, 4 of them have included fusion as a plot element with deeper implications. Smoky Court saving the boardwalk from disaster, Pearl and Volleyball creating Mega Pearl to combat the Reef's security system, Aquamarine and Eyeball banding together as Bluebird, and Steven working together with his 2 parental figures as Sunstone and Rainbow Quartz 2.0. In a way, it may come across as an abundance of fan service, as this is the last hurrah for the Steven Universe television series. Maybe you even feel as if they're soiling what was once a treat for fans, a call only made for situations that absolutely required fusions. And while I could understand those concerns, a very special episode made me realize something about fusion in Steven Universe Future. The frequency of fusions isn't something done solely to appease viewers. It's a result of Steven's impact on the crystal gems and the universe around him. Fusion hasn't changed. It has simply evolved. Going back to the beginning in the prime of Era 1, allow me to explain how much fusion has evolved, once by Garnet, and by extension Pink Diamond, and again by Steven, alongside speculation of what's to come. With all that said, let's dive in. Going back to the beginning, in the prime of Era 1, the comprehension of fusion was easy, as the rules were strict, but simple. Fusion was a technique reserved for gems of the same type to carry out tasks more effectively. Rubies fuse with rubies. Topazes fuse with topazes. On that note, it seems fusion was most common among soldiers and gems who had heavy lifting. I imagine if back then, let's say sapphires fuse with sapphires for example, if it didn't strengthen their future vision, I imagine it would have just yielded weird looks and judgment from other elite gems. So while same gem fusion wasn't outlawed, considering we know there was some prejudice around it, going by Aquamarine taunting Topaz and stuck together, there still would have been a considered time and place for fusion. And I imagine some kind of gem just weren't seen to have any need to fuse. Fusion didn't begin to alter until Ruby and Sapphire mistakenly brought Garnet into the world, a deadly act that almost cost them their lives, but was so vital in Fusion's progression amongst gemkind in 2 ways, one more direct and one a much slower burn. Of course, the mere existence of Garnet fascinated Pink Diamond enough, under the identity of Rose Quartz, to give her a new reason to protect the Earth and push forward as the Crystal Gems. Hell, it piqued enough curiosity for Rose and Pearl to attempt their fusion, which eventually became the being known as Rainbow Quartz, allowing cross-gem fusion to become a core belief and principle of the Crystal Gems during the rebellion. Back on Homeworld, however, Ruby and Sapphire's incident had another impact that was only seen throughout very small doses in the original series. Remember, Garnet's birth was a very disruptive, unusual event that occurred in front of Blue Diamond and her entourage. Considering the nature of Blue Diamond's court, especially diplomatic gems, it's only natural that gossip would have spread. The knowledge of a cross-gem fusion between the Ruby and Sapphire must have traveled through many mouths, before just becoming the catalyst of forbidden love for thousands of years. It's something that would have led certain gems to ponder, what if? Causing them to re-question their own identity and relationships with the gems close to them. We know from Rhodonite that Garnet was not the only one out there who was outcast from Homeworld for being 2 very different gems with a special connection who enjoyed becoming someone entirely new. The episode Together alone showed us with the Lemon Jade fusion that so many other gems felt the same way as Ruby and Sapphire did all those years ago, keeping their own fusion secret. Lemon Jade was vocal that she suspected she couldn't have been the only cross-gem fusion out there who wanted to exist and felt good just being herself. At the same time, Garnet clearly didn't become a legend by name, as neither the Off-Colors or Lemon Jade recognized her, although that could have been due to Garnet's many reformations. But I can't imagine the actions of a nameless Ruby and Sapphire not running through the minds of those both supportive and opposing of cross-gem fusion. Back to the Crystal Gems, however, fusion in itself evolved into the state mentioned earlier in the video. If you're like Garnet, gems who prefer being fused as an entirely new being rather than being separated, that's more than accepted and okay. However, generally cross-gem fusions, while not being frowned upon at all, were still reserved for situations that call for their existence. Scenarios where fusions can serve as better than the gems on their own. It's still representative of a relationship and teamwork, but not called for mundane, simple tasks. And then Steven came along. Alongside his first fusion, Stevani, Steven began to redefine fusion as he began to redefine the crystal gems and later gemkind as a whole. If there's one small thing that separated Steven from the gems, aside from being organic, it's that once he gained full control of a power, he'd continue to utilize them in a casual manner. There's no ability Steven really sees as reserved for tough situations only, excluding like possession. So when it comes to something as exciting as fusion, Steven has always given his fusions more time to shine than the other gems. After fusing into Stevani, we gradually saw more of their existence. Whether if it was while sharing a dance, saving Amethyst, racing a jerk, although they realized Stevani shouldn't exist for such paid situations, or training, Stevani came through more than they were quote-unquote needed. Because Steven and Connie knew Stevani didn't really need a reason to exist. Smoky Quartz followed a similar path, having more frequent appearances than the other crystal gem fusions. I don't think they were exactly needed to defeat that turnip and back to the kindergarten. But again, Steven sees no reason to bench fusion and more importantly, prevent someone else from existing. Fusions are their own person, even if their component's influence can fluctuate. We know this. The crystal gems were ultimately fighting for their right to exist. That includes their fusion's right to exist as well. If you're going to fight for those rights, why rarely have fusions reap the benefit? They're out here just trying to vibe as well. This brings us to Era 3, and why fusion is so prominent now. In simple words, because they can be. But obviously, it's so much more than that. Again, because of Steven's nature and his passion for the practice, of course his fusions are going to have more time to shine as the relationships with his loved ones are stronger than ever. The Crystal Gem's weaker relationships also being a purpose for their infrequent fusions in the original series. Relationships that only improved over time. Fusion in a way achieves the full potential of those relationships and to truly share experiences with one another. Steven fusing with Greg to respark Pearl's drive and memories, fusing with Amethyst to save Funland, busting out Rainbow 2.0 to become the best companion and babysitter for Onion, giving it up to Sunstone to properly lead their students through the rules of safety. Pearl and Volleyball finally getting the full picture of their diamond, not realizing they even needed to open up to each other, but because of Steven's need to help, they found each other's comfort anyways. Sure, you can argue that they're not as special as they once were, but to me, I'm just seeing that Steven refined what fusion means, for the show itself to refine what it means to the audience. We even see antagonists, one of which who once scoffed at the vulnerability of fusion, partake in the practice with Bluebird. A fusion that was born out of a taste for revenge, that ultimately wants to exist for themselves, and their love for their hatred by the episode's end. And in a sadistic way, Bluebird still exists because of Steven's impact. But it's Bluebird's existence that causes my desire to speculate on what Homeworld is like in Era 3. What gave this fusion the comfort to exist in the first place? We still haven't seen Homeworld for ourselves properly in Era 3, aside from a few shots in the film, and I find that to be very intentional. Imagine how many more stories that are akin to Lemon Jade and Rhodonite that have emerged and can exist freely in Era 3. I feel like the next time we do see Homeworld, we'll see many more casual cross-gem fusions who exist for themselves when we finally visit the planet. And I feel like there has to be many, for Eyeball and especially Aquamarine to even consider doing fusion as a mean to take down Steven. And above all else, with fusion evolving to its current state, will we finally see the diamonds fuse? When it comes to the original series, it makes sense that we didn't see any of the diamonds partake in fusion. The relationships with one another were estranged. They lacked the trust and communication. They were grieving in different ways, and really closed themselves off from one another as a result. Yellow and Blue Diamond may have been the closest, but even they held secrets from each other. And with Spinel in the picture, will they finally fuse not just with themselves, but with other gems? The diamonds truly have a lot to figure out, so I don't expect them to just rush into fusion because they can. But I do think the existence of a fusion between them by the resolution of Steven Universe Future will be a perfect way to truly cap off their development and arcs, as it shows they really do embrace this new era. But as always, these are just my thoughts and I want to hear yours. What do you think? How do you feel about the frequency of fusion in Steven Universe? What are your thoughts on the frequency of fusion in Steven Universe Future? What's your interpretation behind it? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below or tweet your thoughts at Roundtable Vids. And for more of my own thoughts, you can find me at ARTWITHKODA. We're also on Instagram. Special thanks to ARTWITHKODA for creating an awesome thumbnail. For more of his wonderful art, you can find him on Tumblr and Instagram at ARTWITHKODA and subscribe to his YouTube channel. Link down below in the description. Help the Roundtable grow by either becoming a member of this channel or supporting us over at Patreon. Link in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please throw it a like and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great cartoon content. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. ARTWITHKODA signing out.